We have been getting more and more Ninjago reveals quite literally by the day in terms of the early 2026 set drops, and I'm going to be honest, even though I've already talked about the 15th anniversary sets, I'm still very much curious on what we will be getting next. And in this case, it's of course, we were revealed a lot of the Season 4 Dragon's Rising sets, and I'm going to be honest, a lot of them have interested me, but not in the same way that the 15th anniversary sets have interested me. Before this video, I am going to be taking a look through every set that we have currently been revealed for, and I'm going to give my general opinion and let you know whether or not I'm going to be buying them. And more importantly, I want to know if you guys are going to be buying them as well, because honestly, I do find it very curious to know. Because this could be a very divisive time for a lot of Ninjago fans. Would you be buying 15th anniversary sets? Will you be buying Season 4 sets? It's truly down to whichever you prefer. But that is what I want to talk about today and give my general take on what we now know. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about some Ninjago sets. Although one thing I do want to say first, and I want to quickly expand on the 15th anniversary thoughts video. One thing we have learned since I made that video is that the J and the Zane actually have new head prints, and I'm going to be honest, they are really cool to actually see. Jay's one is extremely standard, it's just another smiley and angry face, and I do appreciate it for the most part, but it did come with the confirmation that the old one that we've had since the movie is now being retired. I'm going to be perfectly honest, this is no major loss in my opinion. It's a bit of a shame, and it definitely does make me feel old, but the thing is that we are getting a new variant and new facial expressions for Jay, so as long as you do have the old ones, it's definitely not a consequence whatsoever. It's just the fact that it's now officially gone. I will say though, again as a major side note, this wasn't the only Ninjago piece that was recently retired, so was the standard Kai hairprint, and I will say that is a very major loss. The only thing that we now have available is the Kai headband mold, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I really don't care for it, especially considering we have not seen Kai with that hairband mold for a very long time. I believe more specifically it was crystallized, so definitely is concerning. The only thing I'm going to cope and say is that it might lead to a more show accurate version of the head print. So that is the only thing I'm kind of taking away for it, but also it just means that we're going to be stuck in hairband hell. But I will say, even though the J one is definitely very nice, it doesn't even pale in comparison to the new Zane head. The thing is that the humanoid version that we've had since the movie is just downright terrible. I don't really like it in any sort of way. So finally getting another version of Zane, which is the OG style, and not to mention also the new battle damage style, which is perfect may I add, is definitely a fantastic addition. There is nothing wrong with this Zane headprint, it is literally perfect inside and out, and not to mention, fun fact, he was the only one whose original design never actually got any sort of face variants. Jay did, Cole did, Kai did, but not Zane, so he finally actually got one, which is extremely nice, and like I said, it is basically perfect. But that's the only thing I wanted to add on. Let's finally talk about the Season 4 stuff. I am going to be going in order from the smallest set to the biggest set, so starting off with the smallest, it is Jay's Dragon Mech Fight. This set is $17.99 in the British pound, and it comes with 107 pieces, and I'm going to be honest, it's a 4+ set, so what can you really expect? To be honest, it's not the worst 4+ set I have ever seen, but it's still just a 4+ set of that. Funnily enough, you can actually see exactly what most of the set was inspired off of. The J-Mech in particular, half of it is just simply from the mech wave of sets. The bottom half then is just one big solid piece to emulate a dragon by the looks of it. So it's nothing special and also mostly just reused parts. The monster mech that's going against him is just simply a recolored version of the J1. It is completely fine for what it is, and the minifigures are also just completely fine as well, but the thing is that there is just overall no appeal to me. It's honestly not the worst 4+ set Ninjago has ever released, it's just simply there is nothing there for me. It's just a very simple build with very little pieces for a very high price, and if there was some sort of benefit, which there could have been, like some way to get a minifigure for cheap, I would have been fine with getting it, but in this case, it's just simply one that will be left on the shelf if I am walking past it. The second set for today is actually going to be Cole's Mission Mech and Dragon Zane. What is that title? I have no clue what they are doing with these naming conventions. But anyways, this set is going to be $24.99 with a total piece count of 364. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, this one is definitely growing on me. I initially just really didn't get along with this set. I honestly just didn't have much of a care for it, but the more I've been looking at it and the more I've actually been taking a look at its details, I'm actually starting to appreciate it more. It's of course based off of Cole's Golem that we've seen in Season 1, and we haven't actually seen it since, so this is passive confirmation that we will be getting it again, which is very nice. But I do think the build actually looks quite good. I like the undertones of the orange, I like the use of the blacks and the greys. I have to say, it is actually doing fairly decent for what it is worth. The minifigures also just aren't really that bad. You have that acid monster which looks really nice, I have to say. I can't wait to have that in hand. You also then have the dragon version of Zane. We don't really know the overall context of what this is going to be, all we know that it is described as dragon form. And then we just have the regular looking Cole. So it is honestly fairly good for the variety of minifigures. You are getting 2 of the ninja, which is fairly nice for a price this size, and a very solid looking enemy minifigure as well. So I'm honestly not mad at it when it does come to that regard. It's just really weird because I just don't really have much in the way of problem with this set. I honestly really do think it looks quite solid. I think it looks fairly good for what it is, and I definitely think I'm going to be picking it up. I definitely think it's going to be a worthy set to add to the collection. So I'm actually quite happy to actually see this. Cheaper Ninjago sets, which are very solid, is definitely some of the best stuff that you can get when it does come to the show. The third set that we're going to be looking at is actually the Ninja Dragon Ryu's Battle. This set is going to be retailing for 40 and comes with 347 pieces. Now if you're feeling keen-eyed, you'll notice that that is less than the Cole mech, yet for some reason it is 15 more. I have no clue how they figured this one out. I will say as well, everyone's pointing out the fact that this Ryu actually has 2 mouths. Of course you have the molded in one because that's just the molded Ryu head print that we've had for a very long time. But he also does come with a jaw. So this is also the 2-mouth Ryu, and I really can't unsee it. I really do wish they simply would have just done something, or maybe even have considered going for a new mold if they are officially aging up Ryu. I will say, it is nice to get another variation of the Ryu dragon, and it's definitely cool to see the progression of his actual dragon in Lego brick form. And I have to say there are some other decent aspects. Dragon form Nier is pretty good. We also get that Loyalist minifigure, which is pretty nice. We get one of the acid monsters, which is fairly cool to see, and we actually get a fully completed version of the new Aaron. As much as I don't like the Aaron minifigure, I definitely think it's a very solid minifigure line-up. But I just really can't look past the fact that the Ryu is just really weird with the jaw, and also the brick piece count is lower than the Cole one for a much higher price. I honestly do think that is a massive detractor when it does come to this set, and might honestly be the reason I don't actually pick it up. I have brick built Ryus and I'm very happy with them. Honestly, I can't see myself picking this set up. I can't really see much benefit for it, and I really can't justify that price when it does come to me personally. But honestly, I do see why some people may want to pick this one up. The fourth set we're going to be taking a look at is Jay's Transforming Car. Very creative on that one, but this set is going to be retailing for 45 and comes with a piece count of 387. And again, I'm going to be noting the brick piece count once more, because again, we're barely getting more pieces and we're still going up in price. This is only 20 pieces bigger than a £25 set, yet it is nearly double the price. Of course, I do acknowledge the fact that it does come down to what pieces and the sizes and everything that goes like that, so please don't rip me out in the comments for it. It's just, I can't ignore the basic statistics when it does come to these sets. But moving on, I actually don't think this is too bad of a vehicle. Honestly, if this was a few years ago, back when I was really collecting Ninjago sets and not being as more selective as I am now, this definitely would have been one I was looking forward to. The build looks really cool, it's definitely taken on that more buggy effect, which I do think is pretty nice, and I definitely do like the colors that go along with it. I definitely think it has got a lot going for it that I really do appreciate. But it is of course described as actually being a transforming car, so you may be wondering how it transforms. Well, the front of the car does a spinning rotation by the looks of it. I can appreciate it for what it is. It's not personally for me, but again, I do understand why a lot of people may be very enthusiastic about this actual set. I honestly do think for that reason, it is again quite solid. It's actually coming with things that can be appreciated and some form of effort, which is very nice. It does also have a side build, which just doesn't really feel like much. It's just a little simple turret, so that's also just another little thing. I guess it'll be good for people who actually do say stop motion or anything like that, but I do think the main attraction obviously is the buggy, and I do think it is fairly solid at that. Minifigures wise as well, it is again pretty good. You do get the regular version of Nia, which is okay. You also get a regular version of Jay, which is also fairly interesting, which is nice to actually have. You also then get a loyalist leader, which is also a very nice addition, an earth monster, which I do think is very interesting to point out, and then of course the dragon form Kai. It's definitely got a very nice variety of minifigures here. I definitely do think, again, worthy minifigures for the set in question. It's just how these outfits are going to be utilized in the show, which I do think will be more interesting. But I do think on an overall, this set is fairly decent. Again, I do have a problem with the brick pieces and the brick count, but I can see where it's actually gone and where the budget has gone in this instance. So I understand why people may be picking this one up. Personally speaking, I may not unless it's on a sale, but when it does come down to it, I actually do think it's pretty nice to look at. The fifth or the second to last set that we're going to be looking at that was revealed was actually the Ninja Vehicle Treehouse Battle. This set retails for $70 and has a piece count of 642. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, this set has basically no appeal to me. The three main parts of this set are of course Kai's bike, Zane's helicopter, and this treehouse island looking build. But when you actually look at each individual thing, you actually realize that Ninjago have done a much better version of all of these in a set that came before. Kai's bike is fairly nice, but I just personally prefer the cycle that he actually got in both Legacy and also in the very first season of Ninjago. Zane's helicopter is honestly a very big downgrade in comparison to the set he got in season 11. And honestly, this island, it just feels again like a downgrade of the Tiger Widow Island set. The thing is that every single one of these aspects just come together to make, in my opinion, what just seems simply a little bit weaker. And what even goes beyond that is the fact that this entire treehouse battle set, of course, the main thing is the location, but the bike and the helicopter are just simply too big to go along with this set. Proportionally speaking, it is completely out the window. Now, of course, I have to acknowledge the fact again that budgets exist, and that is why the treehouse ultimately seems to be the thing that suffered here. But the thing is that I just simply would have preferred it if the set exclusively focused on either the bike or the helicopter or even just the island in general. It just feels fairly weak. It just doesn't feel like there's actually much here that I just simply actually want to use. There's just nothing much here I actually want to actually display either. The only redeeming things is the minifigures. Dragon J is very nice. The completed Zane and Kai are also a very welcomed addition. We get another one of the acid monsters, which is fairly nice, and we actually do get Euphrasia. Now the thing is that as it currently stands, I can't overly tell if it's the same one that we got prior, but even then, a second option or a new Euphrasia would be very nice to actually have. And then of course, again, we have another addition when it does come to the loyalists. So it is a very decent roster when it does come to the minifigure selection. It's just a shame that the main part of the build is just simply very weak to me. I'm going to be perfectly honest, I just really don't see myself even considering picking this one up. Even if I could get it for a major discount, I just really can't see myself doing anything with it. I will most likely just simply bricklink the minifigures. So I'm honestly just kind of disappointed by this one. I think it's a fairly weak addition, just simply because, like I said, everything that's done in this set, I think is just done better elsewhere. But we actually do have one more set to take a look at. And that actually is the Dragon of Life set. This is a set that's going to be retailing for $90 and has a piece count of 1,050. And I'm going to be honest, again, I'm just really not vibing when it does come to this set. The main feature of this set is of course the dragon, and personally speaking, I am a massive fan when it does come to Lego dragons. I have the Source Dragon of Motion, I have Thunderfang, I have the Golden Ultra Dragon, I have all of the Elemental Dragons. I have so many dragons in my collection, but this is one I just really don't see myself actually doing anything with. I think on an overall it looks pretty cool. I like how the colors flow, I like how everything just goes between itself. It just feels like there are some very weak aspects to it, mainly being those wings. Those wings look completely bare, they look barren, it doesn't look like there's much to them whatsoever, and that is a serious detractor because when you look at a Lego dragon, one of the first things you look at is of course the wings. I would just expect the wings to just simply look bigger, look more meaty, but they just look skeletal. You can basically still see the pieces that are meant to make up the skeleton, and I really don't like it for that reason, and honestly, it's probably going to be the main reason why I don't end up buying this build. The thing is that the rest of it's pretty cool. The buildable earth monster is fairly nice to see. Again, the Loyalist leader, which is nice. You get a completed Aaron, a completed Zane, you get a completed Sora, and you get the dragon form of both Lloyd and Cole. So it is a very good selection of minifigures. It's not even only that, you get one of the Earth monsters and also another Acid monster. So you are getting a lot for the set in terms of the minifigures. It's just, I really do not like this dragon. I just think the dragon could have been much better and much more full looking, especially like some of the other dragons that you would get for the price point. There is also a side build that I wanted to mention specifically because it did confuse me. It's just this little bit of nature, there's the grass, there's a tree, there's this little formation of things that I do think is pretty cool. However, when you actually look at the formation, you look at the center, you see these sort of fire. Now, I'm going to be honest, I do not understand whatsoever why that piece is there. I'm hoping that it's just simply a part of the set and it doesn't tie into the show in any way. I do think it's just an extremely weird addition, but I do actually like the side build because there is a lot of fantastic detail. It's just, I really do question the decision of the piece used here. It's not like the Sword of Fire was going to be retired because of course it's in the 15th anniversary sets. So having this in here, I really do not understand what they did with it. But hey, it's there and it's a side build, but again, just really weird to actually look at. But I'm going to be honest, on an overall, I just don't really care for this set. I can consider maybe getting it if it's more accurate to the show, or if it ends up on some sort of discount. But as it stands, I just don't really have an intention on buying this set. It's just not a lot going for it, and especially for 90, I do expect better. For 90, I'm just simply going to go pick up the blacksmith shop. I think that is a much better deal, especially considering that it's just much more complete looking, and just simply much better looking. But hey, that is just my opinion, and I do want to know what yours is. Because on an overall, I really do think this wave of sets is very interesting. I do think the smaller ones are just simply better. Of course, I do have problems with some of the sets in terms of their pricing or whatever, but as overall sets, the smaller ones do actually strike me as better looking. I mean, the main example I'll give, I had some fair issues when it did come to the Ryu set, but I still think it's a decent looking Ryu, and that is why I'd be more likely to pick that up in comparison to the Dragon of Life. But hey, again, that is just completely me. But honestly, I do want to know what you think, because I do think this is a very interesting wave and a very divisive wave of that. Like I said, as it stands, you can sure bet that I will be getting the minifigures, it's just whether or not I actually get them through these sets. But again, I would like to know what you think. Because are you going to be picking these sets up for yourself? Are you going to take a skip on these? I am very much curious on what you do want and what you don't want. So please let me know in the comments down below. But thank you very much for watching this video, and I do hope you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always consider becoming a channel member. You could join the legends that you see on screen, including the eternal legend, Grandmaster Sensei 28208. Thank you very much, my friend. But that is about it for today, you guys, and thank you very much for watching. Take care. Okay,